whether you take up the pluralistic component or the component of tolerance, tolerance of dissent, tolerance of other religions, and the issue of accommodation of social groups, Sufism becomes much relevant in the modern world. Equally important is the fact that Sufism is a protest against the corruption of wealth. We all agree that wealth, particularly the capitalist wealth, is the root of all evils. Therefore, Sufism started as a protest against this, to abdicate the world and to get into a different kind of world, thereby indicating that social equality, social justice, and social welfare are equally important factors. Unless we have that, it's difficult to have a civilized life in any society. So from this point of view as well, Sufism becomes much relevant to the contemporary situation. Sufism also believes that all religions are one and all religions seek union with the same God. As such, there is no difference between creeds. All are one. This indicates that Sufism is concerned for universal brotherhood. The talk we mentioned when we discuss globalization. Allah has sent the Prophet, peace be upon him, as a blessing to all the mankind, Rahmatul Alameen. In this sense, Sufism aims at a global village, what the modern theorists of globalization talk about. So from this perspective also, Sufism is much more relevant to the modern day conditions. We all agree that no philosophy, no idea can spread and prosper unless it carries with it the indigenous values, the indigenous cultures from where it is placed. The success story of Islam has to be seen with this angle. Islam has spread to different parts of the world. In its march, Islam has accommodated the various values, the various cultures in its march. Thus, Islam, which the Sufis subscribe, is basically not an exclusive domain of certain group. It spreads to other groups as well. The Sufis believe that the message of Islam, the doctrines of Islam were transmitted to the Prophet, peace be upon him, his companions, his disciples, who spread throughout the world with the mission of Islam. As such, there is a link, there is a total chain symbolizing Wahdaniyat, the unity of God. Wahdaniyat not in the exclusive sense of the term, but in all encompassing sense, in a sense of all encompassing. Unfortunately, the unabashed march of Islam to the various parts of the globe, with the universally accepted maslaks and silsilas, had become a target of attack from a section of the Najdi traditions. And many Muslims, particularly in Pakistan and India, are treated as not real Muslims. This is the prevalent situation now, and there is a conflict between the two viewpoints, what we call the Wahhabis and the Sufis. But it is a sad commentary that, backed by a wealthy political power and supported by the imperial masters, and we all know that imperialism can survive only through a class syndrome. So the small group of what we have come to know as the Wahhabis, through their exclusive propaganda machinery, entered every household, particularly the women folk, and successfully created fissures in the Ummah. And this process was also strengthened by the Indian and Pakistani diaspora, who have remitted not only money but also some culture from that part of the world. The recent bombardment on the Sufi shrines in Pakistan is a testimony to that development. Fortunately, we are immune to that situation, partly because that a majority of Muslims have a cultural heritage in India, and a majority of non-Muslims also support the Sufi faith. What else could be more significant than the fact that in a situation of hatred, the Pakistani Prime Minister had to visit Ajmer recently. So it is this that explains the importance of Sufism in the country. I can only say that Muslims, ये कौम बाशऊर है, बेहद ज़हीन है, आपस में ना लड़े तो आला तरीन है.